Hello, I'm Tony from Bonner's Music, and today I'm presenting the brand new Hammond SK Pro stage keyboard. Now, SK Pro shares the same organ sound engine, that's called the MTW1, as the Hammond XK5 that I have behind me, and that's one of the most well-regarded portable drawbar instruments on the market today. It's even got the virtual multi-contact system as well. So if you're looking for a really authentic Hammond playing experience, but with additional voices as well, such as pianos and electric pianos, clavs, and even mono lead synth, then SK Pro is exactly the instrument that you should be looking at. So the SK Pro is available in the UK from Bonner's Music, and you'll find links in the description to this movie to give you pricing and availability information. Now, if you already own an older SK1 model, or perhaps an instrument from another manufacturer that you'd like to trade in or part exchange for an SK Pro, then just email us details of what you've got and we'll get right back to you with a trade-in valuation. And you could have an SK Pro in your hands a little bit quicker than you first thought. So let's take a listen to some of the sounds of the SK Pro, and we're going to start with the organ voices. So in particular, pay attention to the sound of the Leslie or the rotary speaker simulator, because this has been upgraded from previous Hammond models, and I'm going to be using the sound of the modelled 122 Leslie cabinet. Now, I'm not using anything external to the keyboard. All you're hearing is the sound of the keyboard. So this is what you would hear or experience if you had one of these at home or in your studio or on stage. Now, if you're like me, I like to add a little bit more grit and a bit more dirt to the sound. So what I'm going to do here is select the model of the 145 Leslie speaker, and this one's a bit more wild. I've added some extra overdrive to it as well, and this one really screams. So. So you may have noticed in some of those examples that I had the Leslie simulator running through the reverb unit, and it gives you this kind of effect. Here you can hear that Leslie actually going through the reverb, and that's a feature that was requested by users of SK models, and it's a brand new feature on the SK Pro, and it just is one of the ingredients that adds up to this being a really great authentic Hammond organ experience. So Hammond have included their virtual multi-contact keyboard in the SK Pro instruments, and this first featured in the XK5 model. And what this does is it replicates the slight delay that you got with the original Tonewheel organs. When you pressed a note very gently, you could hear the tone generators just coming in at slightly different intervals, slightly delayed intervals. And it gave it a different kind of playing experience to what you would get with a keyboard that doesn't have this. So just to demonstrate, if I just play some notes very gently, you'll just hear different tone wheels just coming in at slightly different intervals. Have a listen. Now, you really only appreciate it by actually playing the keyboard, but anyone will tell you who's played an XK5 or indeed one of the original Tonewheel organs that they just drive differently to a modern day keyboard that doesn't have that kind of feature, because it does make you play in a slightly different style, in a more traditional style that you would associate with the original organs. So it may be a Hammond instrument, but the SK Pro is about a lot more than just organ sounds. There are some really great keyboard and piano voices in here too. So I've selected a piano sound here called the Stadium Grand, which is a nice, rich, full-bodied acoustic piano voice, but it's got a bright edge to it as well. So if you're going to be playing in a band, you know that your solos are going to cut through above the other instruments. So the SK Pro also allows you to layer up to 4 of the different parts together. So you could layer an organ with a piano, with a synth sound, and with a lead sound too. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select the piano and ensemble sections, and this allows me to play the piano, but layer with it a nice synth pad sound. And what I also really like is that you can set the key range for any of the individual parts. So I have my piano going across the whole keyboard, but my synth pad actually stops before the top octave and a half or so. So it just means that your piano notes at the top can ring out nice and proud, whilst the synth pad is providing a really good bed underneath down in the lower octaves. So just take a listen to this. What I also like to do is to add the organ sound to that patch too. So if I press the organ, piano and ensemble buttons together, it then activates the organ, and I've got separate volume controls for all of the parts. So I can just bring the organ up, so it just sits in the background of the piano and the synth. So let's just have a listen to that. There's another really great piano sound in the SK Pro, and it's the sound of the Yamaha CF series grand piano. and this is absolutely stunning. So just take a listen to this piano sound on its own first of all. So. Now, you've already heard me layer the sounds together, but you can also split the keyboard as well. So if I press the key split button on the left-hand side, what I've got here is I've got a bass sound on my left hand, and it's actually got a ride cymbal mixed with it. So you get this kind of effect. So there's another bass sound in here, and this is something I haven't seen before. It's actually the sound of an acoustic bass, but it's mixed with a brush. So imagine a drummer using brushes on a snare drum, and it sounds really fantastic. And just imagine a smoky jazz club, and you can sit and play this sound for ages. So as well as acoustic pianos, there are some really great electric piano sounds in the SK Pro. And there are some nice orchestral strings too. Now what's really great is that you can layer up to 4 parts together. So if you just take a look in the middle of the panel here, we have these 4 white buttons here, and this is where you switch on and off your individual parts. You have the organ part, the piano part, ensemble and synth. And just by pressing 2 or more together, you can layer all the parts together. Now the buttons light up red to show you that they are assigned to the right hand part of the keyboard, and in green if they're assigned to the lower part of the keyboard split. Now the keyboard will remember everything that you've got assigned. They call it a combination, so it's a bit like a registration really. So if you assign different sounds to the different parts and you layer them, you split them and you add some effects, you can save that entire setup as a combination, and you can store up to 100 combinations inside the SK Pro, and then you can assign those combinations to these favorite buttons here. These are these 10 black buttons underneath the screen, so it makes it really easy to recall your favorite settings if you're playing live. What you can also do though is store individual sounds, so maybe you make an edit to a piano sound or to a synth pad or something. You can store those individual voices within the actual voice sections themselves, and all the combinations do is actually call on those sounds. So it might sound all very complicated, but I'm going to make another quick video to show you how to store your sounds within the SK Pro, and that will be coming in the next few weeks. So it's the layering of voices where the SK Pro really comes into its own. So you may have seen in the intro to this video that I had a synth sound, and I was turning these 2 knobs here. Now these are actually volume controls for the 2 parts I've got here. So I've got your piano part and the ensemble part, and these are the volumes for each one. So what I've done here is I've assigned a synth pad sound to the ensemble part. So if I just play a chord and then turn the volume up, that's the synth pad. Now I was holding that sound on my sustain pedal with my foot there. So let's play the same chord again, and this time I'm going to bring in the other sound that I have, which is assigned to the piano part, and it's another synth pad. Let's just have a listen to that on its own. So I can use the 2 volume controls to mix those sounds together. Now you may have noticed in the intro to the video that what I was doing, I was actually playing a chord here and then I was taking my hands off and then playing a solo at the top. So I have the mono synth assigned to the top section of the keyboard here. The sustain pedal is only affecting what's on the lower section of the keyboard. So you can set the controllers up to affect whichever parts you want, and that includes not only the foot controllers but also the pitch bend and modulation wheels here as well. So my sustain pedal is holding the synth pad, which leaves my hands free then to play a synth lead part over the top. So this is just an example of that. So you can see how easy it is to create really big textures of sound. So that's only literally 2 pad sounds and a synth lead, but with the effects as well, which are extremely advanced in the SK Pro, you do get a really great sound. So I just want to take a quick look at the mono synth that's built into the SK Pro. You activate it by pressing the synth button here, and then you can use these controls over on the right hand side here to sort of craft your own sound. There's a choice of 6 different basic waveforms. And you've got a pitch and filter envelope and an amplitude envelope as well. Now, if you're not used to creating your own synth sounds, don't worry. There are 100 preset sounds in here anyway, which you can select just by turning the value knob here once you're in the synth mode. So there are lots of good lead sounds and bass sounds. And so on. And of course there's some really nice bass sounds, but you can also add effects such as chorus and phasing and echo and things to the synth as well. So to just show you how powerful the filter is, I've got a sound here which is called fat bass. Let's just take a listen. So of course you can mix the synth part with any of the other parts of the keyboard, and you can split the keyboard as well, as you've already seen. So in this example here, I've got the synth part on the left, and I have an organ here in the middle. And what's great is that because you can set the ranges or the key range of each individual part, I've actually got 3 splits going on here. So I've got bass, organ, and up here, I've got a very bright piano sound. So So the SK Pro is available in 2 different keyboard versions. I have here the 61 key version, but there's also a 73 key version too. And both of them have a waterfall keybed, which is ideal for playing both organ parts and synth parts too. On the rear panel of the SK Pro, there's an auxiliary line in so that you can take the feed from an external music device to feed through and mix with the output of the SK Pro. There's a 11-pin Leslie output, which you can plug into one of the latest Leslie speakers, including the 2101 or the 3300 or even the 122. It has USB to host and to device, which means that you can plug in an external memory stick, so you can store even more of your own sounds and combinations onto a memory stick, or you can do a complete backup of the keyboard onto the memory stick too. There are 4 foot controller inputs. You've got a damper pedal input, a expression pedal, and 2 other assignable foot switch inputs too. And finally, I'm really pleased to say that Hammond has upgraded the mains input socket on the SK Pro series. It's now a proper traditional plug-in mains cable direct to the mains rather than with a separate power supply. Those separate power supplies that you get with keyboards tend to have not quite so robust cables and plug and socket systems, so having a professional direct mains input just means that this is ideal for use for musicians on the road. So that brings me to the end of my overview video for the Hammond SK Pro. It really is a superb instrument. If you're looking for something that's got the best organ sounds in the business, as well as superb pianos and synths and other sounds that you can split and layer wherever you want on the keyboard, then the SK Pro is certainly an instrument you should be looking at. It's available in the UK from Bonner's Music, and as I said earlier, we do offer a part exchange scheme as well. So if you have a keyboard already, get in touch, let us know what it is, and we'll give you a valuation on it straight away. So if you need any more information, please check the links in the description to this movie. And if you need any help choosing which is the right Hammond product for you, at Bonner's we stock all of the Hammond products that are available in the UK. So if you want to see one, we have 3 stores, one in Eastbourne, one in Reigate in Surrey, and another one in Milton Keynes. So just get in touch and we'll make sure that the product that you want to see is in the right branch of your choice. So thank you very much for watching this movie, and I'll see you again in another one of my keyboard demonstration movies.